we are live. This is Math 60. This is section 1.2, part 4, or 4, or pedwar, or there are a bunch of other words for 4. I know, I'm not thinking of any of them. Quattro. I can't remember it in German. And I already did it in Welsh. Okay, so here we are, very end of 1.2. 1.2 is talking about all the different relationships you can put together with numbers. We've multiplied, we've divided, we've factored, we have cried, we have gnashed our teeth, and now we're going to set up inequalities, but we're just going to flirt with them. We're just going to remind ourselves what they're like and then move on. There will be a whole chapter on inequalities later on, and it'll be super fun. You'll love it then. Right now, I just want to go over the English pronunciation. Try that again. English pronunciation of inequalities. So I've set up a bunch of inequalities, and basically all we're going to do is talk about which is which. So if I write... And I'll remind you that inequalities, if no one has ever drawn the inequality monster at you, the big number is on the open part of the mouth, and the small number should stay on the closed side of the mouth. That's the goal. Okay, so if I have it written this way, I pronounce this 5 is less than 6. And then if there's a little bar underneath, 5 is less than or equal to 6. And some people look at this and they're like, wait, that's not true. And the answer is or. Is 5 less than 6 or equal to 6? And the answer is yeah, it's one of those, and that's enough. If it's an or, it just needs to be one of those. So would you like chocolate sauce or live weasels on your ice cream? And you would say, a mathematician would say, yes, because I would like chocolate sauce on my ice cream. I would not actually like the live weasels on my ice cream. I think it would be messy. And I don't know, I would worry that the weasels are lactose intolerant, you know? So, but or means only one of them has to be true. So 5 is less than 6, so that's fine. It's fine. 6 is greater than 5 is this one, right? So this one, I've written the big number on the left, so the inequality switches around to the other direction. And then this says 6 is greater than or equal to 5. Again, this is true. The or says one of these two things has to be true at least. And the answer is yeah, 6 is greater than 5, so it's also greater than or equal to 5. Okay, so that's just a quick review. There'll be some problems asking you, do you know what's bigger than what? So go ahead and practice that. We've got negatives and opposites. And again, I wanted to make sure we talked about the language of mathematics so you feel comfortable talking about it. If you get a minus sign in front of a number, it can be pronounced a couple different ways. I can either say this is -6, or I can call it the opposite of 6, which is interesting. I know a lot of people prefer -6, but the opposite of 6 is also correct. Technically speaking, if you say -6, I'll know what you mean. But technically speaking, minus is an operation. And when the minus sign is right there by itself next to a number, it's actually a negative sign, if that makes sense. Now, do people call this -6? Absolutely, all the time. But I thought I would point this out. Technically, it's -6 or the opposite of 6. Okay, so what is this? If I've got a minus sign on the outside and a minus sign on the inside, I could say, a lot of people will say it's the opposite of -6. Does that make sense? The opposite of -6? But you could call it the opposite of 6. And I know people might laugh and point, but it would be correct. It's a little awkward. So I might recommend the opposite of -6. Do people say -6? Absolutely, all the time. But again, if you're going to go be fancy, like if you're doing math with the Queen of England, I would not say minus minus 6. I would say the opposite of -6, Your Majesty. Okay, what is the opposite of -6? So if we've got the opposite of -6, now if no one has ever shown you this, I think I invented it. I'm very proud of it. Are you guys all ready? I know, I'm so excited, right? What happens when you get two minus signs or two negative signs together? Watch it again. I know that was fast. The two minuses come together, and they make a plus. So these two minuses stuck together make +6, which is just 6. Some people believe you should emphasize your positives with pluses. I don't like to personally, but I don't mind if you do. At a certain point, writing pluses in front of everything just becomes excessive and it gets in the way and it gets messy. So a lot of times we say, let's just write it as 6. Okay, woohoo. Can I do it again? You ready? I'm so proud of myself. Ooh, look at that. Okay. Next up, dun dun dun. I feel like I should have the shark for this again. I've lost my shark. Oh, I really have lost my shark. I don't know where the shark is. I don't have a scary animal to show you, and I'm dropping things. So you're just going to take my word for it that this is absolute value. This is the one thing when I was in school, this was the thing that really just terrified me. And we're going to get to, there will be a section in Math 60 where the absolute value gets really weird really fast. So what we want to do right now, Chapter 1, is make sure you're really solid with absolute value of just numbers, not variables. So the absolute value of a constant. So in other words, and I know these are small, so I'm going to rewrite it. Absolute value of 6. Now, technically, the definition is the absolute value of a number is equal to its distance from 0 on the number line. So technically, we look at 0 and we look at 6 and we say, how far is this? How far is that? And we'd say, well, that's from 0 to 6 is 6. But most people say absolute value of 6 is 6 because you just, it's positive and you make it the positive version. And that's going to work for right now. Either one is going to work for right now. I am saying this now. I'm introducing it, so it kind of marinates in your brain for a little bit. And then when we come back to, again, that chapter I'm alluding to in the future when things get a little bit weird, hopefully your brain's like, wait, you said something about that. And it won't be so much of a shock. Okay, so most people, when they get, I should put equal sign there, when they get the absolute value of a -6, they think, absolute value rips the minus off. Well, it does, kind of. But really what it does is it measures, now this is from 0 to 6, this is from 0 to -6. How far is this? And the answer is, oh, well, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. This is still 6. So the absolute value of -6 is still 6. The reason for these is that -6 and 6 are equidistant from 0. Does that make sense? They're just mirror images of each other in opposite directions. Okay, so then we could do some interesting things. We can play around with it. I could try to make your life more difficult by like, blah, ha, 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 I put a minus out in front. You'd be like, yeah, whatever. That's not going to faze me. I have a highlighter. Nothing bad can happen when you've got a highlighter. I've got a highlighter that tells me that this part is going to be the absolute value of -6. So I got a minus outside, and this whole thing is going to be 6, right? The absolute value of -6 is 6, and the minus is out there. So then, well, isn't that funny? I've got -6 again. So even though I took the absolute value, because the minus was waiting outside, this little minus right here, that minus, which is right there, that minus kind of ruined everything we did. So we cleaned up the minus. We made it We took it from -6 to +6, but then the minus, there's another negative sign hiding outside, and bam, it's -6. So sometimes the two minuses can't get to each other to cancel each other out. When there's an absolute value, you don't get to do the plus thing. They just sit there like that. Okay. Absolute value of 0. How far is 0 from 0? It's 0. Absolute value of 0 is 0. And then one more time. Can you divide by 0? No, never. No, at least not for now. As far as you know, as far as we know in algebra, no, you can never divide by 0. Don't ever. Never, 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 never. We did it. That is the end of 1.2. Next up, 1.3, because the moral of the story is there's always more math to learn. Okay, math on, guys.